agriculture sector. And I hope, Wakili, you had actually completed your comments. Yeah, we left it. We rebuke that in Jesus' name.
Yes, we rebuke this socialism and all these things. We will give this. The milk farmer in Kiambu is not looking for money. In fact, I have a friend, we go together in the same gym, is a very serious farmer. His problem is Kenya Power. They give him huge bills. He can't do this. They are disconnecting all these things. But he is producing. The Maasai man, since time immemorial, before the Wazungus came to the country, they were keeping cattle. And that is the cattle from where we eat meat in this country. They are not looking for money. They are looking for policies interventions. They are looking for where they can get medicine for their cows. They can be able, when there's drought, they can be able to sell those cows. And they can be able to regrow. These are things. Now, these policies are not, we have 250 billion we will give to these people. So when you see this policy, these pledges, they are meant for people who are waiting to be given. We will be given. We must create a culture. God is in God's economy. You create value. It is a reward system. It's not capitalism. In fact, laziness. They even say you should not eat if you didn't work. If you didn't work, you don't eat. If you didn't add value, you are not supposed to eat. In other words, you're supposed to starve to death. That's what the King of Kings is. So, our big brother, future presidential candidate, Sir William Ruto, did a good branding that gives people hope, especially the lazy people. But those who look at the bottom line, will be like, my brother, let's be realistic. Let us look at what works. A lot of these things are just platitudes.
All right.
To persuade.
A lot of these things are just platitudes. Engineer Nabarangi, let's just hear from you as well. When we're talking about also distributive economics, many Kenyans will wonder, how does it also lie in tandem with what Dr. William Ruto is telling us right now? Distributive economics in the agriculture, we have what they're saying, they don't need the money. They need good policies, because many of them, they have the resources, but the policies also, they're a bit curtailing their progress as it is in that particular sector.
Well, two things. First of all, agriculture, for the length of time we've been doing it and where it is right now, is business. So it should be done as business. The issue of food security, being the challenge that we have, should make agriculture a more attractive investment destination. Unfortunately, at the moment, it doesn't. And the reasons are, they have been talked about. The cartels, the people who benefit from agriculture are not the ones who are actually doing it. The ones who are brokering the different aspects of it. So we must have a change in the way agriculture is done. Uganda and Tanzania, who supply us with the complement for us to be able to feed ourselves, have been improving their agriculture for the last probably 20 years. At some stage, we were ahead of them. Now they are ahead of us. How far ahead of us? We don't know. We need to know. Even as we want to change now and make our farmers more productive or our farming more productive, it's going to take a while. The Tanzanians and Ugandans will still be ahead of us. The initial benefit that we may get from improved productivity will simply create a glut here, and it will be sold to the market, same market, and it will be at a loss to the farmers. So it must be managed in a way, if it was to be done, that the transition either is so quick or it is so significant that by the time the next produce comes to the market, it is competitive. We can't say that right now. So those are things that are hidden in the promise that we're being told some money will be put into agriculture and we shall be productive and we shall be able to feed ourselves and the farmers will be able to make profit. that can only be on the basis of informed management, research-based, so that we are objective in making that decision, rather than at the moment, I think we are subjectively trying to simply get ourselves elected.
Indeed. Right, thank you. Professor Adams-Olo, on that bit, then I want us also to just maybe hear from you, and then we can try and take the discussion towards livestock and also this cash crops that he's talking about, avocado and macadamia as well, just to broaden the discussion on agriculture bit.
Yeah, I think the panelists have really hit the nail on the head, and I'll just summarize. You see, Dibal, we've been here before. Tom Boyer in the mid-1960s quipped, insofar as distributive economics was concerned, that you can't distribute what you don't have. And that's what we are being told here. The problems in the agricultural sector go way back to the 1970s. Those who are old enough here, and all of us are old enough here, will remember the Carrefour and the Chepkubes of the 1970s. You fast track and come forward the maize and sugar importation. You kill the sugar industry and you kill the maize industry, and you import, and there are specific people who are given those letters. We know of the National Cereals and Produce Board issuing those letters. This particular candidate was branded so well, you have to give him credit. Remember, he was a minister for agriculture, and he's not addressing the very issues which made him be removed from the Ministry of Agriculture. And basically, that is the brokers. Debal, you usually talk of budgeted corruption. You have one here. Basically, you are saying this money is there, and the cartels and the middlemen, they are the ones who will get it. Galana Kulalu, as my colleagues have said, is a good example.
Interesting. Well, just on a lighter note, we have that interesting editorial cartoon today by Victor Ndula there. And you may just bring it to the fore. We have him saying in the next 100 days, you can see them now with their manifesto, except for David Wahiga Maure, who has not unleashed his manifesto as it is right now. If the director may just take the full screen of it, you can see there. Professor, looking at that particular editorial cartoon.
The next 100 days.
Is Ruto has been dubbing? You know, don't normally say dubbing. Yeah, the notes of Raila Odinga.
He's checking them, taking some.
And Wahiga also seems to be, looking at what Wajakoya is smoking. Is greatly shy also to be, engulfing that particular smoke as it is right now.
Yes.
Yeah, and Raila Odinga is busy at work as it is. Even him is looking at the manifesto on the other side, if you can look at his eyes as well.
Looking also at the other manifesto.
So everyone is, except for Wajakoya, who's busy with his smoking there of the marijuana.
We need only one promise from these two front runners, because I think Wajakoya was only made that promise. Actually, all they need to do is to tell us they won't steal from us when we give them the power they are seeking. Because there is one thing the Kenyans need to admit: if we are going to change our trajectory, we are ahead of Tanzania. Tanzania will probably go ahead of Kenya in the next 5 years. Ethiopia actually beat Kenya in 2015, but then some crazy fellows have launched war in that country now and dragging them back again. You can see the performance of Rwanda. What we need is a promise between them: when I'm elected, I will not be a thief. I will not rob you. Because it is the government that steals from the people of Kenya. It is the government which is making fertilizer unavailable. The cartels within the state. It is the government that is making the medicine for the cows unavailable. Remember, there was institutions set up, and those institutions functioned very well. Agricultural Finance Corporation functioned very well. All those agricultural institutions, who collapsed them? It was not the innocent farmer or the people of Kenya. It was people within government because these are the people who can get away with that.
Yes.
So we need one promise only. The rest the Kenyans will work through. That you stop robbing us, you stop enslaving us. Because this is an incredible government where a minister will fly to Naivasha with your money, an helicopter to Naivasha, and the vehicle will go on the road to pick that minister when he arrives in Naivasha. If you are that unfit to drive to Naivasha, you need an helicopter, then you should not be a minister. But the Kenyans are supposed to tolerate this is slavery. You see, because it is slavery. You go to Mombasa, you fly to Mombasa, your vehicles will go on the road.
Yeah, we'll follow you.
We'll follow you, or they go early so that they can pick you from the airport. Now, you see, a proper government which uses public money like personal money, you will go to Mombasa and you arrange for the government officers in Mombasa to pick you, and they use the government resources in Mombasa because they are there. So until we stop this joyride on public money, which none of them is mentioning, okay? We stop the slave, because these are our slave masters, the owners. They are very happy flying into the village and harassing in the villagers with the rust when the helicopter lands. Something that you can easily plan ahead, take a car and have a ride. So nobody is talking about controlling government expenditure.
Thank you.
Nobody is talking about the government itself stop sleeping, because Kenyans are walking around saying about the big projects. They don't understand the big projects are tied to corruption. The bigger the project, the more corrupt. I mean, if you have to analyze why would this country need an SGR, you understand? Imagine if there was a 6-line highway from Mombasa to Malaba. Imagine the eateries. Look at the socioeconomics of the road. The spring of new towns along that road. The petrol stations. The multiplier effect.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
So, all the manifestos, whether they are stealing from one another, please just give us one promise. When we put you in power, you won't rob us, and you are not going to further enslave us.
Thank you, thank you. All right, Professor Mwenja, on that note a bit, I want us to talk about the livestock industry that he also mentioned, vis-a-vis the avocado, the macadamia. Then we close up the chapter on agriculture as well. But also,
I just wanted to follow up and a couple comments. Some of the things that I expected to hear, which I'm not hearing on either of them, I didn't hear. The issue of debt, I think where, my brother here mentioned the issue of debt. That's an issue that they needed to be able to handle. The issue of taxation was also one of those issues that I did not see. The issue of power is one of those things that I didn't see.
We will come to that.
Now,
yes.
There is one thing that I need to mention, and I think Professor here alluded to that, is the risk that government poses to small and medium enterprises.
We're coming to that.
Okay. Now you want me to talk about livestock?
Yeah, I want us just to finish with the livestock. Okay. We close the chapter on agriculture. We go to SME as a standalone subject as well. Yeah.
No, the issue of livestock, and we have looked at this. We are in right now. I'm working with some guys from other countries on the livestock issues and feeding issues, both in the Asa regions and also in areas of Narok and Kajiado. That is a sector that we need to be able to develop because the market is ready, the market is there. I think we have the largest on this continent. The kgs per capita. I think we have more on meat in this country than probably any other country. The market is there for the leather products. The market is there for meat, especially for the Middle East and all that. And I think here what we should be looking at, and the problem we are facing is feed. Like what I was saying, is issue of feed. When you go to Masais, they are not asking you for anything else. Feed has become too expensive. The issue of market, the Kenya Meat Commission, it took the army to come and rescue the Kenya Meat Commission. The same thing Professor is still talking about. The issue of corruption, malfeasance, and inefficiency that are within a lot of these sectors. So if we are able to streamline the feeds I've always, I'm big with fodder production when it comes to especially hydroponic fodder. And this is one of the things that I have always said. Kajiado, we have fantastic areas to grow hay. Narok, we have fantastic areas to grow barley and wheat. Now, if we were to look at both of those as part of the value chain of feed production,
yes,
where we do barley seed production and hay production in Kajiado, and then switch both, where Kajiado now provides hay for the rest of the other region, the Narok and other places. And Narok is able to do barley, and we do barley seed production. That's the hydroponic fodder production it's now starts to stabilize the feeding program. I was just in Ethiopia 2 weeks ago, and that's one of the programs that we're trying to take to Ethiopia, because they cannot feed their animals. And if you don't feed your animals, and especially the Borana area of Ethiopia on the other side that live and depend on livestock, those are things that we need to look at. How do we improve the feed for the livestock in order to increase the quality of the cows or the animals we have, not necessarily the quantity. With that, I think we can be able to revive our livestock sector, with the provision of markets and with proper management of the entire value chain of the livestock farm.
Indeed. And of course, we were just showing the cover there of the Ministry of Industrialization with the livestock, that is livestock industry, the diagnosis, the analysis, and the action plan they had. I wanted just to pick out some of what they had to say, looking at their SWOT analysis of the sector as it is and what we were being told by the Deputy President William Ruto yesterday. Just to go there, can try and see, but let me just hear from Ambrose Weda as I try to get that particular page exactly.
Thank you, Dibal.
Yes.
I think in terms of livestock, we are worse off today than we were almost 30 years ago. What is very basic and interesting is that even the leaders, including the presidential candidate who has been a minister for agriculture,
yes,
if you listen to the way they talk, they tend to think livestock is cows and bulls.
yes.
Livestock is a term for a stock that is alive. It includes chicken.
Yes.
It includes all this.
Yes, yes.
So when you come and say we want to avocados, we must develop on the basis of priority. Which one is our highest priority? Which one is easier for us? Before you tell me about avocados. Avocados are good, yes. But just tell me that since you are eating meat, and every part of this country we can have cows, these are our policies, these are the interventions. Now we are eating meat, but the cows, you don't know where they're coming from. You hear them talk about, we are going to do our leather industry. Leather industry comes after you have slaughtered the cow. The cow takes years to grow and turn into leather, so that it will be natural. The leather industry comes naturally. As long as you have cows and you are slaughtering them for meat, the leather industry has to come. So it is not something you talk of as your main priority you want to start with. Looking at it, when you talk about livestock, that's where we are talking about milk, we are talking about eggs, we are talking about all this. And take even the eggs, take even the chicken. Apart from Mogoku and the Kenchik, the other Kenyans, what they lack is knowledge. Knowledge. And even if you are moving and you want to rear chicken, to get those chicks, you have to book. Book. In fact, if you want your Kenchik, you book months. If you want whatever, and the quantity, you can't say, give me 5,000. Now, these are the policy intervention that is required, and then you train Kenyans with the skills that is needed, and then you zone. Do you know it is illegal to keep chicken in the city, even if you're living on 1 acre? Did you know that? Yet, these are now regulations that you change and say, look, a person living in this, you should be able to grow your sukuma wiki, you should be able to have your chicken, you should be able, all this, in the cumulative effect is positive on the economy. But when you hear tumetenga only, then you can say some of these are voodoo economics. Good for the ears, but difficult for the actuals. So the livestock economy would actually put us in a much better state. Some people doing rudimentary agriculture I've seen in Kakamega. Some people, somebody has a bull for fighting, a bull. But the bull has been so nurtured. The bull is big and strong. When it is sold, 400,000 Kenya shillings. Now, these are experiments. These are things you have worked that you, as a government, you pick up. If it was to be bottom up, then you say, you see the way so and so did. Now we want to replicate it so that 10 bulls from Kakamega is enough to feed the meat eaters of Wajugonas. But we are not doing that. We are just saying, we will, the Maasais, we will do that. So I think they need to go back to class when they are talking about this. We are a blessed country. Blessed in terms of resources, hardworking people, focused people. Who is failing us? Government. When we are crying about cartels, who are cartels? Our sons, our daughters, ourselves. Who is allowing them to function? Government. Because government has put up so much bureaucracy that the farmer, they'll tell you, English, have you filled this form? Then he's like, I just have my cow, I'm feeding it, and I want to feed it and sell it. These forms you are talking about, what are they? True. Then the cartel comes in and says, now I'll fill the form for you.
Thank you.
I'll sell the cow for you. These are the things that serious government needs to do.
Thank you. Right. So we have the SWOT analysis here, briefly, before I come to you, Engineer. And we can just try and tease out some of the things that were done here by the Ministry of Industrialization, looking at the leather sector. The strength that is there is abundance of livestock in the country, just as we have the lawyer saying. If we just have it back, please. We have the abundance of the livestock, also tradition in leather industry, that is a strength. A number of functioning tanneries, creative, resilient workforce, abundant labor, self-organized cluster in Karioko market. We go to the opportunities, big pool of willing young labor, growing informal sector, growing number of designers, rising middle class, increasing government support, enforcement of environmental standards in China requiring more processed leather import, expected jobs loss in China's manufacturing due to the weakening competitiveness in the manufacturing sector, lack of vibrant leather product industry in neighboring countries, strengthening trade among EAC. Now we can go to the negatives. This is the internal one that we do have. The weakness is low quality hides and skin due to diseases, branding and scratches. So even if we have all this livestock and the quality therein also is poor, because of poor husbandry practices, as we can see, poor equipment and fraying in abattoirs, low awareness of the value of hide, skin among a general population. How are they trained? Poor finishing due to lack of machinery, high electricity cost you mentioned, and tariff on importing inputs, lack of quality finished leather available locally, lack of quality standard, lack of skilled artisan and training programs, lack of capacity to meet bulk order, lack of funding, investment and research and development, lack of Kenyan leather brand recognition globally, lack of marketing channel and platform, and friendly business climate. That is what we are talking about, electricity tariffs and corruption, high concentration of tanneries near Nairobi area, and poor infrastructure, hindering the industry to take advantage of rich livestock poop in rural areas. We have growing competition from Ethiopia and China. Are we going to, of course, beat Ethiopia on this, because they've been fast out of the gate on this? High dependency on imported component. The spread of Ebola, this was during that time Ebola was also thriving, of course, in the Western Africa. Market share and power concentrated in tannery, promoting imbalance and monopoly. Strong presence of second-hand products, increased negative externalities, and it goes on and on and on. We can't really talk about them. There you are. So given this particular background of what he was saying and how the industry is performing dismally right now, what would be your take? Briefly, then we wind up on that. We've got a few minutes. Engineer, please.
Ethiopia has caught up with us. They were behind us, because if you think back to leather products, which is a derivative of livestock, we were ahead. We had butter shoes. There's a time butter shoes was the name around, and in locally and around the region. Ethiopia has developed its leather industry, and we probably should have done benchmarking even before we did this SWOT analysis of our sector here. then we can benefit from the initiatives that they have taken. We might be able to catch up with them and perhaps compete. That's on the livestock. So our competitiveness is the first challenge that we must deal with. On the issue of avocados, that's a new market. It's a developing subsector in agriculture, and we should do everything that we can to increase our competitiveness, because there are other countries that are going to compete with us or make that product available in the market. And if Kenya does not take it seriously, then it will just be a flash in the pan. We will do it for a few years and then we stop again. If we want to have a sustained presence in the local and global market, and right now everybody is fighting for an opportunity in the global market, we must work on our competitiveness. And that is what this manifesto should have focused on.
Indeed, thank you. Engineer, let's just hear from Professor Adam Zolo. We wind up on the agriculture sector, especially the livestock and the macadamia.
Well, just one thing. Dominic and Weda talked about feeds and policy. And there's a friend of mine from the Netherlands who was an anthropologist, and he came into this country and lived amongst the Maasais. And after 1 year, he went and wrote a book, he said, which he titled Selling Wealth to Buy Poverty. And basically he was saying that the Maasais were busy selling their land and ending up with their livestock but without land. And the reason why I was talking about what Dominic and Weda said, that we have to look at the livestock sector from a broader perspective. That do we have in place the necessary policies and even the necessary infrastructure, the way Dominic was saying that you need feeds for this livestock. Dibal, you might be aware that quite a number of times when drought hits, those livestock get emaciated, and in fact the Maasais or any other community that produces them, brokers rush there just when drought is just setting in and the cows are starting to get emaciated, and they go and buy them and then they bring them to the leafy areas or the green areas to try and pump them. And the problem of that is that you have so many middlemen and brokers who go and interfere with the ecosystem of the livestock sector. And I think I don't see that being addressed in the manifesto.
Right, thank you very much. All right, we want to hear what Deputy President William Ruto had to say about the MSMEs right now. 50 million people in that particular sector are employed in the MSMEs. Business infrastructure space is lacking. Also, they want to decriminalize people in that particular enterprise. Let's just hear what he had to say in that regard.
Our strategy is to move value addition of our tea to 50% in the next 3 years. The second sector, that's agriculture. The second sector we want to focus on is transforming our MSMEs. I have given you the statistics. The statistics is that we have close to 15 million people in that space. 10 million of them hardly make 100, 200, 300 shillings. Our intervention is threefold. Number one, we want to create business infrastructure for these people. There must be markets, there must be spaces, there must be areas where business can be done legitimately and decriminalize people's enterprises. Number two, there must be legislation to protect everybody's business. The details are in the manifesto. And number 3, the single largest challenge the MSMEs face is that they pay interest on credit that none of you here can believe. Most of them pay 10% per day, which translates to 3,600 per year. Better ones pay 10% per month, which translates into 120% per year. And in so doing, their profits are eaten by just one item, credit. Our plan is to ensure through the Hustler Fund, and we have said we are going to commit 50 billion shillings every year to the Hustler Fund, so that the Mamamboga and the Boda Kai and the fellow at the kiosk and the fellow at the saloon and the good lady running a saloon somewhere can find credit that is not predatory.
Right, 50 million people there. I said 50 million people. I think that was the wrong figure I quoted. It's 15 million people in the MSE sector, because the 50 million is actually the entire population. Let's just hear from Professor on the SME briefly.
I'm not even sure that is actually even an intelligent statement. Why am I 15 billion for MSEs? I'm saying I'm not persuaded that is even an intelligent statement. I know, I mean, Ruto is a serious salesman. Why do I say that? There is already a youth fund in existence. There is a women fund in existence. How far has that gone? You understand?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? You
yes.
see, if you are going to say you will set up money, what have we done with the youth fund, what is micro enterprises, and who is there?
Uwezo Fund.
Uwezo Fund is also there. So I think the framers, the people advising the deputy president on this, they need them to think better than they have. Okay, I think they allowed the president to go and say things that have no legs, which cannot land, because we have Uwezo Fund, we have youth fund, we have women fund. What have we done with all those? So I think we need to get serious. I think when you are making a proposal, because you need to be president, you need to be very serious. You need to have thought it through and they see what is the implication of that. The other thing is the 15 million. The thing is, you have, I think I said this before, you have about 95% saturation on the micro enterprises as it is right now. So what you should be thinking about is not the expansion of that sector, it's in growth. There's a difference between the expansion of the sector by attracting more people into the sector,
yes,
but in growing the sector by allowing the micro to transit
yes,
to a small scale, and a small scale to transit to a medium. That's how you build the production. So I would expect here you would have attacked policies which are ingressing that industry. You see, there is something Raila Odinga did in when he was a minister in the Nusu Mokate government as prime minister, which has become a cancer now, and it's become impossible for us to move actually in any sector. He separated the generation of electricity from generation, distribution from generation. What happened? Independent power producers mushrooms. And these independent power producers, they have made it impossible,
yes,
for the electricity to be affordable to these micro entrepreneurs, to the small scale enterprises, because most of them use power as their input.
yes.
Now, let me just give you an example of two farms. The Keninjani, what did we get in 2020? You can Google 2020. We paid the Keninjani 5 shillings and 40 cents per unit. But what did we pay some other companies? I'll tell you two of them. One was paid 145 shillings per unit. The other company was paid 173 per unit. And the Lake Turkana wind, we in fact pay in dollars, meaning that the country is importing wind. So this is a rip-off. Okay? So I would have expected the Ruto, because he knows this,
to tell us, first thing, I will dismantle the IPPs, the independent power producers. There is also Thika Power with the 48. You can go through all those payments for 2020 and see how much this country is actually being robbed by its own government and the people within that government. In other words, you need to have power. You need to be a minister in that government or related to the people in this government to be able to be paid 173 shillings because there is no difference in power quality.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's hear from Professor Mwenja.
Yeah, Dibal, 15 million SMEs in this country by his count, and that's a good audience to sell to.
But we also have to take cognizance of the fact that of the 15 million MSMEs, 2 million of them, they're actually closing almost every year.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that's what I'm saying. If you look at what he's saying here, 50 billion annually to SMEs, that sounds good. But the question is, what are we doing to these SMEs? The last time I was here, I remember we were complaining about the biggest threat to small and medium-sized enterprises today is government itself. And it's government itself. At the county government level, there are so many SMEs that have gone bankrupt because of working with the county governments.
Yes.
And the county governments have refused to pay them. And what I expected him to say here is, we are going to pass a law where the disbursement of funds to the county government are based on whether you're paying your suppliers or you're not. If you're not, we settle that first. Otherwise, you go to a county government today, what they're paying today is what they were provided 3-4 years ago.
The pending bills, yes.
Now, those pending bills are bankrupting our businesses. And when they're bankrupting our small and medium-sized businesses, that means we are losing jobs. We are destroying companies that should be growing instead of getting them to grow, like Prof is saying, from small to medium-sized enterprises. If you look also at what he is saying here, we say provide one street trading premises for every 50 urban residents. What are we becoming? Are we becoming a country of traders? And remember we mentioned last time, we have inadvertently graduated to a service-led economy where we don't create stuff, we just trade with stuff. We go to China, we buy, we don't add value, we sell. Now, the margins are so small sometimes that is not going to create wealth. But they'll keep everybody very busy trading with things for other people that is not creating wealth. Perpetually, we become a poor country that's very busy selling other people's things. What I should be hearing and what I should be expecting them to do, and this is why I advocate the establishment of a small business administration like we had in the US, where all these funds, the Uongozi Fund, the Women Fund, the Children, everybody's fund, is geared towards that small business administration, where the nurturing of businesses is done, where the nurturing of the business plans and the products and everything else needs to be done within those centers. That allows now for the small and medium-sized enterprises to start growing and becoming bigger employers. However, where we are today, they are micro, you have all these funds, there's another fund that was a youth fund, and they have kids from Nairobi going to Murang'a, getting an ID from Murang'a because the uptake there is not as much as here. They borrow 5 million, 2 million with no intention of ever paying. So the money never gets where it's supposed to get. All these need to be coalesced around one authority that allows that to happen.
Thank you. There was a proposal for the Kenya Credit, the Kenya Credit Guarantee Scheme for the SMEs as well. I don't know where it got lost in the shuffle over the years. I don't know if it's still there. I never followed. Maybe if you're privy to that, you can highlight and how that could have been decidedly different with what we had yesterday.
This fund-giving spirit.
Fund-giving spirit.
Money distributing spirit is becoming bigger and bigger in Kenya. But where has it worked? Give. I remember, I'm also an SME. Is it SME? I'm also small business. My law firm is a small one. You understand? Small one. Throughout my growing life, I can't remember where myself or even my parents needed to be given money. We take the basic border fellow outside here, those who hire motorbikes. They are not looking for money. In fact, they are not getting their motorbikes from a fund from government. They are getting their motorbikes from those who have imported those motorbikes are willing to give them credit. Their problem that kills the SMEs and leaves professors floating is that we go to the same supermarket. We have to buy the same cooking oil at the same price. We have to transport ourselves in the same means. So with your small business, you are hit not because you are not making money,
yes,
but because the cost of living is high. What kills the SMEs? What kills the Juakali industry in the Kikomba? It's not that they are not being given a fund, but because now when I'm going for a pan, a chapati pan, which I used to get from Kikomba, now I get it from China. Same government allows the low quality cheaper ones from China, subsidized, to come here and kill what our brothers are doing here. It is not the 50 billion sling that has not been given to them that is their problem. Their problem are policies and taxation. You don't need to be given a fund if the interest rates are not predatory. You will go to them. We are in circles, where interest rate is constant.
Yes.
Nearly every person who wants to do business is now going there. We are not looking for waste of fund, children fund, whatever fund, hustler fund, Lewo fund, Kisi fund. Apana, we are simply saying, join a circle. We want a predictable interest rate, and then when I open my business, if I'm making chapati funds or karaya mandas, you understand? Somebody will not go and bring cheap ones from China. Then he comes and says, why buy this one of whether I have 1,000 selling? Get this one of 200. These policies, even China, they will not allow you. These are policies that we want a presidential candidate to come and say, one, I am committed to not raising taxes. I will reduce taxes on this and this and this. Kenya Power, the power he talks about, is killing the SMEs. People cannot even bake bread in their own houses because of Kenya Power. They not only charge high, they also give you fake bills. Now, these are the policies you want, intervention. So, Mr. President, you or Honorable Raila, the two of you, one of you will be president. These are the policies that will put this country forward. We don't have to look far. Kibaki did not come with, I'll do this in 100 days. You can't solve problems in 100 days. 100 days, you can only say, we are going to change furniture. The one who was sleeping on, we are going to remove and we'll auction them. Prepare to buy the rich people. But otherwise, 100 days is a time you plan, you get reports, you understand. You say, okay, this is where we are going, this is where we are. Our problem is not 100 days, our problem is not the 50 billion. You look at, let me just finish on this. You look at skills. There are businessmen here. What they don't know is how to go to China and bring things. That's where the cartels come in. Now, what does the government do? They bring in policies that says, if you bring a small container, we are not allowing it. You have to bring a big container. Are you not killing the SMEs and allowing the big things? These policies. So we want to see policies that will grow us.
Thank you. All right. So we have all these variegated funds, ways of funds that Prof. also Natile is talking about. We have youth funds. We have women enterprise funds. And what Dr. William Ruto is saying is that all these funds will be amalgamated to a hustler fund. So this will be the hustler funds that he's talking about at the end of the day. I want to hear from you, Engineer, and also Adams. Then we wind up on that particular, of course, note as well.
Yeah. Putting all the funds together so that the SMEs can be served from one fund is not a bad idea. But the funding, like other panelists have said, is not really the problem. The big problem is the vanishing market for the SMEs. Policy can help, but the thing which can make SMEs succeed a bit more is setting them up understanding that we are no longer operating in a local market, we are in a global market. China brings whatever it brings to us made by their SMEs. They are not made by necessarily the conglomerates. Our SMEs here can equally produce product that can go anywhere, in fact everywhere in the world. But we'd have to set them up that way. It's only possible to do that when we adopt the manufacturing methodologies that will be at par with the ones which are elsewhere in the world. We would have to look at the quality of manpower that is available in other sources and supply markets. We would have to consider that globally, if you don't have standardized product, which unfortunately our SMEs suffer from, you may not be able to access. So the management of SMEs, I would join with Professor Mwenja. We need a central body that will begin by identifying people who are potential entrepreneurs, train them, empower them, if necessary, finance them to start enterprises that may grow from micro to SME and eventually become global.
Thank you. Thank you. But I think we have that authority, and yesterday also we had a chair of micro, small and medium enterprises authority here. This is James Mreo. We have such an authority right now. That is it making any difference? He will have talked on how he can strengthen this authority at the end of the day, Adams.
We do have the small enterprise authority, I believe it's in the ministry or something, but as to its functionality and usefulness to the SMEs, that's a whole different story.
Thank you. Right. Professor Adams Olo.
Yeah, Dibal, in addition to what my fellow panelists have said, I'm informed that, first let me say this is old wine in new wine glasses. I'm informed that there is an MSE Act of 2012 that has not been gazetted and operationalized. And inbuilt in that MSE Act is the MSE Development Fund. And in fact, I'm told that regulations were drawn and presented to the National Treasury to review and gazette. I mean, this is just another, you provide funds for the brokers and cartels. It won't even reach those Juakali people. It will just get lost in between because you don't want to go to the route in which there's a structure. And I think Dominic did indicate what misses in this manifesto is the governance framework. Once that is not there, and you just keep on doling out billions, brokers and cartels are laughing all the way that this is what we need.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Adams Olo, political scientist. We really do appreciate your input this morning. Also, Engineer Frederick Nabangi, thank you for your input as well, management consultant. We have also with us Professor Getile Naitwili. Thank you for coming through as well, Professor of Management and Leadership at Multimedia University. I know you were training to say well, but we can't. We're stopped for time. We're winding up. Also, Professor Dominic Mwenja, the chair of the center. Just a moment. We're winding up, Professor. I know we cannot exhaust the manifesto today. It's a big book. We'll have another time on Friday to do that as well and compare Azimio and Wajakoya we've not discussed as well.